Welcome. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Bryan.
And this is Bryan versus Bryan. Episode 40. Lordy, lordy, look who's turning 40 as we enter the village by Resident Evil. It's like a gated community.
There's nothing to fear.
Where's Rose? She's everything to me.
I think it's time you left things in my hands. Go on, rest now.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village came out a couple days ago. What did it come out? May 7th, 2021. Developed and published, I believe, by Capcom. Yeah, and released for fucking everything, I think, other than Switch, right? PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series. I think it's even on Stadia. I'm not sure who fucking has one of those, and who cares?
Even on your Neo Pocket that you did a review for. You got on that motherfucker.
It's coming out for Super Nintendo soon. Yeah. So, eighth game in the Resident Evil series, as you could tell by the Roman numerals in the title. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't like so much that it's called this versus just Resident Evil 8, though. I think I just like the normal naming convention. It's going to get pretty hard to find a name to stick Roman numerals in once you start getting to 8 and 9 and all this stuff.
Yeah. We learned that, didn't we? Used to upload our episodes in Roman numerals, and we were like, all right, let's just go with the numbers.
Once you get too high, yeah. Maybe once we get, well, it might be easier now. We end up in the 40s and stuff because, Super Bowls are doing it, and it seems pretty easy. But gameplay is our first topic. So, third-person shooter, action adventure, running around, looking at shit, puzzle solving. So this one is pretty action packed. I think it may be even more than 4. Would you agree with that?
Yes, especially towards especially the second half of the game, it gets pretty action heavy for sure.
And I didn't mind it. It's very strange contrast coming from 7. Did you play 7?
I played 7, never beat it. I got to the point where you come across like a marooned cruise ship or something, or a boat, a big cruise, and that's kind of where I dropped off. I don't know where that was, 6-7 hours in, but that's where I left off. But I did like it. I did enjoy it.
That's the SS Anne from Pokemon. There are many battles to be had on board of this ship. Yeah. So 7 is very, very much a horror action or horror.
Right.
You're walking through the house and it's scary as fuck, and they're all not a lot of fights, and they tried to solve some of the complaints about 7, which I guess were people liked 4 a little bit more, and 7 was good though. I would definitely give that a pretty glowing review, and it's all playable in VR, which is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So they added a bunch of character types. So now you got the Lycans. Now you're fighting these. They're pretty much zombies. The shrouded people that because they move kind of slowly. They're kind of like a zombie in their movement, and the Lycans are fucking jumping all around. I hate that shit in a Resident Evil game. Even 4, like when the people are like, they're walking at you and they do this move, they go,
yeah.
You're like these motherfuckers. They're like boxers or some shit.
Yeah.
Dodge the bullet. It's like that ain't gonna fucking work. Anyways, wasting all my goddamn bullets on these stupid fucking Lycans, dude.
Yeah, I would say if we're on gameplay, unfortunately for me, this is where we start with a negative. Unfortunately, because I'm not a big fan of this gameplay. Not in the sense of the action stuff. I don't mind that it's action. I don't care if Resident Evil is horror related or action heavy. I think I enjoy both. The issue is that this first person shooter engine just doesn't feel very good. It doesn't feel very fun to play. And like you just mentioned, like I feel like I waste half of my fucking ammo just shooting at air because the aiming system is kind of a pain in the ass. And I don't know, I just don't find it very fun. And like there's some boss fights that like the way the fights are structured, it doesn't feel correct with the first person shooter stuff. It's just like I don't know. So and in terms of gameplay, this wasn't my favorite, but that's also not really surprising for a Resident Evil franchise. I feel like a lot of these games have issues with controls dating back to the tank controls to the first one, or even 4, which I think is arguably one of the best in the series. Even 4, you go back and play it, you can't move and aim at the same time. Like you're planted on the ground and you have to aim, which is kind of annoying. So like they've always had kind of issues with their gameplay. That doesn't mean I didn't have fun with the game. I think the game, we'll get to my thoughts on it, but in terms of just gameplay specifically, I didn't find it to be too fun.
Gameplay, I don't mind the first person. I like it. I just don't feel like the games where they're going now would look, I don't know, it would take something away from them to be in third person, I think.
Yeah.
Because the old games, I don't know why, 1 through 4 seem like that those are made for like over the shoulder third person, but the new storylines and all the stuff they're doing now, it feels like if I played this game and the camera was pulled back behind his shoulder, it just would feel totally different, don't you think? It would probably feel just like a 4 rehash.
Yeah, it would definitely feel different, but I would argue that it would feel better. Like for some reason, like I feel like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remake, those games feel great. The way the camera is and just the way the characters move and the aiming, like that all feels pretty tight. This game, in my opinion, doesn't feel as tight. And I don't know if it's because the first person throwing me off, but like I don't know, it just feels off to me. And so I hate to start off with a negative, but the gameplay in this game as a whole, I wasn't a huge fan of.
All right, yeah, I'll disagree. I don't think the game, it was bad. I mean, I prefer this game in a first person. I think it makes it more immersive. When you're right there and it's like all you see is like a world, you know what I mean? You don't see your shoulder. I think it looks pretty cool, and it's a pretty game, by the way.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game.
When you go inside a room and you can't see behind there is something added with the first person, not being able to see behind you. And when you go into a room, you're very claustrophobic. It does add to the horror elements, which these are not as horror heavy. So maybe the first person is it takes some of the weight off their shoulders of making the horror. You know what I mean? By limiting that viewing space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I like the third person and I like the first person stuff. We'll see where they go in the future. If this is going to be their because both first person games have the same main character.
Yeah.
I forget what the hell's his name? Ethan. Yeah.
Winters, yeah.
So maybe because this is supposed to be the last one with him. Maybe they go back after. Maybe it was just an Ethan thing that was first person. We'll see.
Yeah, and I kind of want to be clear about my opinion. Just to be clear, like I actually agree with everything you just said. I think I actually don't mind the first person that they switched it. I think it's actually cool. Everything you just said, like seeing the environment, and the environments are fucking gorgeous, which I'm sure we'll get to. And like the horror elements work well with first person. I think what I'm getting at is I just think the gunplay is what I have issues with. And for this game to be so action oriented and you're spending a lot of time in like that first person shooter type of mode, it just doesn't feel as tight as other first person shooters. And so I struggled a lot with that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of where I wanted to zero in on, is specifically the gunplay. But yeah, I do agree with you. The first person just like in this world is awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not as tight as I was just playing some Call of Duty and I was like, yeah, it's a pretty tight shooting mechanics.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I played Resident Evil. Obviously, it's not a shooter, but it's serviceable. Yeah, I think all the shots I'm missing are just because I don't know what it's because of. Because they're moving a lot, and it's not down the sight aiming. like most first-person shooters. It's the guns to the side, and then it puts a white dot in the fucking middle of the screen, which is. I wish they would have had some iron sights in this thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a laser.
Laser would be cool. Maybe that would help.
Yeah, like 4. But I'm sure that has something to do with it because all you have is that tiny white dot to judge by, and it's trying to put it on the guy's head, and the guy's doing this stupid. She's fucking doing the worm.
Right.
So yeah, it's not the tightest shooting mechanics. I think it's very serviceable, in my opinion, in this game at least. And I thought the gameplay was pretty damn fun. I liked exploring. It's a little bit less exploring so far. It seems like I haven't beat the game. Sounds like I'm probably at about close to half. And you beat the game. It seems less puzzle oriented and stuff like that than the older ones. That's for sure.
Yeah, which is a good thing for me because I can't stand puzzles. They frustrate the fuck out of me.
Yeah, these games, I always feel like a bitch playing Resident Evil because I don't understand how you're supposed to play this game like without a walkthrough or anything. Just know some of this stuff. Like in the beginning, there's a mechanic with opening windows, like having to break windows.
Oh yes,
like, what the fuck? I was like, how would I ever know this?
Yeah.
And like the reviews, like go around the house, break all the windows out. I was like, okay, never would have did this normally. That's called vandalism.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff, like I'll play until I'm like, fuck, what the hell, dude? And then I'll look at the walkthrough. I won't try not to use the walkthrough the whole thing, just when I get stuff. But I end up looking at it a lot in these type of games.
Yeah, typically for me. Oh, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So typically for me, because I had to use it a few times, it's more of like I just got a specific key, and now I have to go find whatever door it is, and I've done my fucking 5 circles around, be getting so frustrated. Where the fuck is that door? And then I have to like look it up. That's typically when I have to like bring up the walkthroughs to figure out where I need to be. Yeah,
before it was for puzzles for me, like 2 and stuff. 2's got some crazy fucking puzzles. What the fuck? But this one, the puzzles are easy.
Yeah.
So far that I've had, I was like, oh, these are pretty pussy puzzles. Like, oh, turn the girl towards the guy statue. Oh, congrats. You did it.
Yeah. There's one puzzle later on towards you're probably getting to it, I imagine. But there's a puzzle where you have to solve a puzzle, but the solution to the puzzle is right next to the actual puzzle, and it's like, okay, why'd you make it a puzzle when the solution you have is literally right next to the puzzle?
Is that the lock combo?
No, it's similar to. It's actually more. It's more on the nose than that.
I thought that one was. It's like look out the window.
Yeah, you see the.
Why'd you put a lock on it?
Yeah,
it's like, dude, I can. All right, I thought it was kind of interesting though. It's like I lined it up wrong when I was looking out the window at first. I was like, okay, that's not a big enough number. And then I looked a little bit. I was like, oh, there's another number. Okay. So next, we're moving on to story.
Yeah.
God damn, what was his name again? What Winters?
Ethan Winters.
Ethan. I keep wanting to call him Nathan. Ethan Winters. From 7. A couple years later, you're living in like Europe with your wife or whatever, the one you saved from the first one. You now have a kid. She doesn't like to talk about what happened.
Mia and Rose.
Yeah, Mia and Rose. And Chris Redfield steps in and shoots the hell out of her and kidnaps your baby. And
it's a pretty fucked up scene.
Yeah, and kidnaps you. And then, of course, the car wrecks and you wake up in the wreckage, and then you're on your way, walking into the village. And you're trying to get your kid back. So, pretty cool so far. Even for Resident Evil, this is a little fanciful.
Yes.
A lot of this shit.
They're taking
a lot of this shit.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Resident Evil tries to be grounded. At least it'll explain stuff like 7. It was mold, that made all these people do this, and they got infected. And of course, the old ones is the virus. This one, it's just like you just walked into like a fucking Harry Potter village.
Yeah.
Where there's fucking witchcraft and dolls come to life. There's an ogre. There's a fucking. There's like a Van Helsing character who can control metal with his mind, like fucking.
Yeah, Magneto.
like Magneto over here. It's like they're taking some liberties with this. So far, it hasn't bothered me. The one thing that did bother me, I don't know if it bothered you, is when he got his hand cut off. You get your hand cut off, and then you can't use it, and you have to run away. And you can't heal yourself because that hand would hold the healing stuff. Anyways, and then you escape that part, and he puts the hand back on and pours the healing juice on it, and it's just your hand's back. I was like, this would never happen in an old game. It's like, yeah, you get injured, I can believe you're almost dying, and somehow you heal yourself. But to take off a limb and then reattach it, even in Resident Evil standards, is pretty fucking out there.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I was like, are you fucking kidding? Why'd you have to cut his hand off at all if you just put it back on anyways? Makes no fucking sense to me. I was like, that's a little too wacky. I was like, dude, come on. Don't be doing this. You better explain how Umbrella's involved in this very well to be doing this shit.
Yeah, I would say keep playing because I think some of this stuff it may surprise you, but I don't want to go into that. But in terms going back to the story and characters, the story is, it is what it is. But man, I love these characters. They're so, I don't know, they're so interesting and fun. It feels like I'm watching like a superhero villain bunch, like fucking Batman Arkham's people. You got like the doll guy or the doll woman. You got this tall vampire chick. I don't know. They're all like interesting in their own little ways. And when you start kind of finding out about them individually, it makes it even more fun. But I dig every time either any of these villains are on screen because I think they're pretty cool.
What the fuck was the woman's name that everyone's making the memes about? What the fuck, the Amazon woman? Lady Damascu or something?
Demitru? Yeah, Dimitres. I'm not even going to try, but yeah. Tall chick.
But she's not in it as much as you would think from the materials leading up to the game.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small part. She almost is like the what the fuck is the guy's name? The man in black or whatever, the guy from 2 just hunts you through the house.
Oh, yeah.
But she hunts you less. And she's pretty easy to get away from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never had issues with her.
She is a real cool character, though. Like on the cutscene stuff when she finds you and you're supposed to be found, and she has to like lower herself through the doors and stuff. It's a pretty cool character. But yeah, not in there as much as I thought she would be from all the material that has her pictures in it.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised too. Like it's not very long at all, really. I mean, it's really only that first section of the game, the castle, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah,
it's not a very long sequence either.
My buddy John hit me up and he's like, I was telling him I was further than him, but then he played again and he's like, yeah, I beat the 3 sisters and the chick and I'm out of the castle. I'm like, what? I was like, okay. Like 3 hours in? Yeah, that part goes pretty fast. I guess there's 4 of those to do, but I was surprised. I was like, it seems like that could be a whole game. You just in that castle fighting those people, but that's like a quarter of it.
Actually, for clarity, for me, where are you specifically? Like, what was the last? Like, what mission are you on, or what's your goal, rather?
Oh, I just beat the first one, and I'm back in the village, and I had to go do some stuff in the village, and then it makes you go back and talk to the Duke. Mm-hmm. The Duke is like the merchant character in this, who kind of helps you, and he's a big fat dude.
Yeah, he's pretty
great. I'm glad they brought the merchant character back so you can buy stuff. It's pretty awesome.
I like Duke a lot.
So yeah, and then he explains what happened to your daughter and how she's in the vials or whatever, and you have to get all of them. So that's pretty much where I'm at, and he's showed me where their houses are. So now I'm guessing I have to pick one to go to. Is what I'm at.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, about 3 hours, 50 minutes in. Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. The merchant's back. That's pretty cool. And you can find ingredients around the world, like by killing livestock and bringing him them. And then apparently they're permanent buffs. Like if you create the soup, you'll have, damage will be lowered by 10% permanently or something like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
More health.
Yeah. but you have to carry all this shit in your luggage, and it is like 4. I thought that was really cool too. That you have a suitcase and you got to move stuff around. I don't think you can rotate things like you could in 4, because some things are vertical and some things are horizontal.
Oh yeah,
and like healths are vertical, and maybe I have like a little spot of a horizontal area I want to put it in, but I can't rotate it like you could in 4, so it's not as in depth. And I mentioned that because when you get these ingredients, this livestock shit, you have to put it in your fucking briefcase.
Yeah.
And it's like, how am I supposed to carry all this shit? Because you can't give it to him until you have all the ingredients, and most of them are quite a bit. I'm like, damn, I gotta hold like 4 chickens and 2 fish and 3 eggs instead of like bullets and grenades and stuff.
Yeah, I highly recommend upgrading your suitcase as soon as possible. Like that should be even come before weapons, because I didn't. I just completely forgot. I just started picking shit up, and then I got to the point where it's like, hey, if you want this, and I look at my menu, oh yeah, I'm playing a fucking Resident Evil game, duh. And then I also kind of missed the chests that were in 7, where if you went into a safe room, you had chests that you could swap items in and out, which I kind of liked. I kind of wish that was back, but I understand the nature of just managing your inventory. But yeah, I would recommend highly upgrading your suitcase.
Yeah, for a while I couldn't pick anything up. I didn't upgrade my suitcase till like after I beat the castle and saw the Duke again. I just upgraded the guns, but I'd like to say I think this game is pretty easy. I didn't really die very much at all so far. I think I died on that one beginning intro. That I want to say that the first hour of this game is pretty fucking awesome.
It's awesome, yeah. It's
that really first
good.
Hour throws you in, and it's like reminded me of the beginning of 4, but like cranked up to 11. I was like, holy shit, dude! All of this in the first hour, this is nuts. And like it was intense. It was fun. And I think I died where that roly spike thing comes at you, and you're in that.
Oh
room.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck do I do? There's no way out of the fucking room.
I was the same exactly. I was so frustrated.
And then I just backed up into this corner. I'm like, ah, and it kind of stops. I was like, all right, dude.
Yeah.
Like, another one of those things. Like, how the fuck do I know what to do here? But yeah, that's one of the times I died. I can't remember many others. It does have like an autosave. I don't understand the autosave because you have to save the typewriters.
Yeah,
so I saw that. I was like, I'm always I will not turn this game off unless I've saved it to typewriter, because I don't know what the fuck the autosaves do. One time I did die, and it started me like right near where I was, so it kind of helped there. I didn't have to go. I think it's only for like main boss battles and stuff that they don't make you go all the way back to your save file. But if you're killed by like a lichen in the middle of the village, I think it's fucking sending you back.
Yeah.
To that typewriter. So that's the story. I guess our opinions on the story. I so far really like it. It's crazy. It's out there. I was like, it's fun. They've been really innovative lately in the Resident Evil series, and I love what they're doing. They're bringing it back. They're making it interesting again, because they had 5 and 6 were such a fucking low time for Resident Evil. I never thought it would ever come back to this, so I'm super happy with it. And the werewolves doing something different is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 5 and 6. I remember 5 being fine when I haven't played it in fucking years, but I didn't love it. But I never played 6 because I heard it was just atrocious. But I'm happy that they're still knocking it out of the park, because I feel like in terms of their main flag Resident Evil games, I don't think they have very many misses outside of maybe 5 and 6. This game, it's to me, it's everything I love about Resident Evil, but also a lot of things I hate about Resident Evil. And I guess what I mean, to sum it up, what I mean by that is like I love the setting of this game. I love the characters. The story's fun. Some of the boss stuff, which I won't. There's a certain boss that I just will never forget. I was like, this is fucking amazing. Which I think you're pretty close to it. So I would love to hear your thoughts off camera about it. But that's a boss fight that like it makes you use your mind versus just a fucking grab your shotgun and shoot it a bunch of times. Like it makes you like the boss battle is a thinking game, and I thought that was really cool and interesting. So I'd love to hear what you think. But anyways, but those are things I love about Resident Evil games, but what I didn't like about it is just the gameplay. Like this franchise is kind of notorious for having these weird gameplay stuff, and specifically, like I already said, the gunplay in this wasn't as strong for me, and I wasn't having fun. And I feel like when I'm playing a game, I need to have a little bit of fun, and I just didn't think it worked as well as I wanted it to. Not that it's bad or unplayable or shitty. I just didn't have a lot of fun, especially towards the second half of the game. But yeah, overall, I think it's pretty damn good as a package.
Right.
Pretty damn good.
Next brings us to graphics. So, just playing this game, starting it up. This game is fucking pretty, dude.
Yeah.
We're both playing on PS5. Yeah, it's a fucking beautiful game. Super sharp. 4K presentation, has ray tracing, mostly used for lighting. There's some ray trace reflections, but they're few and far between, and they're low resolution. They just they help the ambiance a little bit. Speaking of that, are you playing this in ray trace or
yes?
Performance? Okay, because I'm gonna talk to everybody. You prefer performance from the last time we talked. I prefer ray trace. This game. If you watch the Digital Foundry episode on it, check that out. That's a fucking awesome episode. I don't know why, but Capcom says this is 45 FPS with ray tracing on, and then they went through the whole game and they're like, this is 60 FPS almost the whole thing. There was I haven't even got to this battle, but they said there's a battle on a lake or with a lot of water, and so the water has ray tracing on it, so it dropped periodically to the lowest they saw was 47, which is fucking good, because it's why would you get rid of ray tracing to have performance when the ray tracing is pretty much the same performance? You know what I mean? It's why miss out on that amazing lighting? So I suggest anyone play this one with the ray tracing, which is default. So just don't mess with it and you'll be fine. Because it's definitely not 45. It feels 60 almost the whole way through. It felt super buttery. But yeah, the graphics, fucking awesome, dude. It looked really good. These landscapes and these buildings and stuff. I was super impressed. Character models.
Walking around the castle, that tall lady's castle in the beginning, man, that fucking huge chandelier in the middle of that entrance. Yeah. Dude, it looks so good. Yeah, all the character models, the village itself with this fucking snow, and I don't know, man, it's great. It's a great looking game.
Yes, snow looks good. I remember back in the day they could never do snow. Snow always looked like shit. And then now snow's just amazing. But I do want to say I've watched the Digital Foundry comparisons of this and the last gen console versions. And so, like we just said, it does look amazing and it's 4K, but I know that they're not pushing the PS5 and Xbox Series X very hard. Simply because looking at the side-by-side, the fucking PS4 game looks exactly the same. It's so close. I was like, wow, either they're not pushing this hardware or they're pushing that hardware to the fucking max. One of them, it's got to be true. And so I was like, man, after looking at this, I do think the PS5 looks good. And if you wouldn't have showed me the PS4, I'd be like, wow, this looks amazing. But then you show me the PS4, I'm like, oh, well, why does mine not look way better?
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing.
Games. Yeah, so I was like, I kind of wish they would have pushed it harder. But I mean, it looks amazing. If you don't sit there and compare the two, you wouldn't know that this isn't an amazing PS5 game. I just wanted to mention that, it's pretty impressive. So if you have a PS4 or whatever, you're still getting a fucking awesome experience. But I guess the PS4 version is 30, so that's a way to get rid of half of that performance. Just boom, make it 30, and then it's probably easier to make it look like this. So yeah, that makes a little more sense. But yeah, PS4 looking good. So don't be worried if you have last gen console or something. This is still going to look amazing.
I had a question for you. Speaking of the PS5 version, do you have? This is kind of a silly question, but do you have haptic feedback when you play?
Haptic,
on the DualSense?
triggers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's pretty
Because
subtle though.
I went into my settings because when I push the button, it's nothing. It's like I'm playing the fucking PS4, and I'm like, as I was playing, I was like, oh, this is kind of a bummer because like I bought the PS5. This DualSense thing is part of the PS5, and like Call of Duty used it, Control used it. I just got done playing Returnal, and I'm like, so like third parties are in Dirt, like all these third parties and first parties are using it.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck wouldn't Capcom? So I was pretty bummed about that. And then I looked on somebody's review and like, oh, the haptic feedback's so good. I'm like, what fucking haptic feedback? Like every time I push the trigger, it's just blank. So I was just curious, like maybe I just got a shitty copy or what, but there's no feedback from me.
Look in your settings or something. It's default on though, so
yeah,
it's not anything to write home about. I don't know why the reviewer. It's super subtle. It's like when you pull up a gun with the left trigger, it kind of resists you, and then when you shoot, it kind of gives you a bump when you hit the sweet spot. It's nothing crazy at all. It's actually one of the smallest uses of it. Okay, well, if you didn't use it at all, and then you had, like Call of Duty,
right?
You know what I mean? Where every gun is different and has haptic feedback. This is a Call of Duty's a 10, and not using it as a 0. This is probably a 1 or a 2.
Yeah,
like that. That's what it is. It's like I could feel it, but I would have like subtly. I'd feel like, oh, there it is.
Okay, you know what I mean? Maybe I did have it. It's so subtle.
Yeah, I'm sure it was there, but you just didn't even realize it.
Okay,
because it's not very good and it doesn't happen a lot. So yeah, that was kind of disappointing, that the haptic stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because it wasn't even the gun that sparked it in my mind, because in the opening I didn't think about it at all. And then it wasn't until, and this part's in the demo, so I'm not really spoiling anything, but there's a certain part in the beginning of the game where you have to get into a truck. You're in a room with a truck and you have to drive this truck through a wall. And I got into the truck and I started the ignition, and it has the prompt of push R2. And then when I pushed R2, it was just think. And for some reason, my mind was like, hey, that feels weird. I don't know if it's because I've been playing Dirt or something, but like there's just nothing there. I feel like there should have been a resistance. And then my mind was like, hey, wait a minute. There's no feedback. So I don't know. I was just curious. So maybe I got like a weird copy or something.
Yeah, no, it's just super subtle. They didn't put very much into that. Okay, so that just brings us to we've already kind of gone through this throughout the thing, but it's kind of pros and cons. So far, cons, obviously, haptic feedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very good. That's not a deal breaker,
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
we've lived without haptic feedback. If a game is really good and has absolutely none, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does add to it, so I'd prefer you to do it, but that is a con. Pro, I think we're in agreement on graphics. We're definitely one of them. I might have to put gameplay in a pro column for me. Sounds like it's in a con column for you.
Yeah.
Story, I would go pro.
Yeah, I'd say pro.
Yeah, that's really fun and cool. Bringing back the merchant, I thought was a pro. I thought that's a really cool thing to have back, and it's an interesting character too. This big fat guy who rides it around like an old car, like a Django, like that fucking tooth dentist
wagon,
thing. He's got like he's got a wagon cart like that. He comes out the back and he just takes up his big fat ass, fills the whole cart. Pretty interesting character. I'm interested to see what he has to do with this. I'm thinking he's not all that I think he is. It seems like he's one of the bad guys. He's the final boss. The Duke. The tentacles come out of the back of the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about all I have for pros and cons I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add some things in my mind that I haven't touched on yet. Like, I love the gothic horror this game brings. Like the castle, it looks cool, like kind of very Castlevania-esque, and was a big fan of Castlevania. So I like that gothic horror and the lore they create with all these characters. I like that well, I guess, since you said where you are, it's really no spoiler, but I like that eventually the game splits off of like, you need to go tackle these bosses, and each of these locations are very different from one another, and they're different boss fights, and like, I don't know, it's kind of cool to see all these different boss fights and all their little sections of the game. So I really like that. And again, there's the one, again, I had to read the one boss fight. Man, it's fucking cool. Where it doesn't make you fight, which is probably why I liked it, because I didn't have to run around with my shotgun and try to hit something. But yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I don't think it's a 9 or 9.5 that some people are getting it, but I still think it's definitely worth playing if you're a Resident Evil fan and if you just like horror games.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the best since 4. 7 was good, but I think so far I like this one better. But well, I guess he didn't beat 7, but would you agree with that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I can weigh in on that because I feel like I'd have to go back and play. I remember liking it. I mean, maybe I'll like it more because it's less gunplay heavy, and then that was my big issue with this one. But again, I don't know. I'd have to go back and play it. But it's definitely a strong entry for sure. I don't think it's as good as I know they're different, but I don't think it's as good as Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 remake. Like if I had Village 2 or 3, and I'm like, hey, pick one of these, I'd probably pick 2 or 3 90% of the time. But that's just me. But yeah, it's still a really good game.
Yeah, I think 2 is amazing. But I might pick it over 3, just because 3 is kind of like a watered down version of 3, and it's so fast. It just happens so fast, and it's like it's not like the remake of 2 where they just put every ounce of love into it to try and recreate every moment of the game almost.
Sure.
3 is almost like the abridged version of 3. You know what I mean? They took out a lot, and it's quick, and some of those battles with Nemesis aren't as sinister as they were. You know, I never felt like I was gonna die. Really, just had to outlast them. So I might pick it over 3, but 3 is really pretty fun in itself as an action game. But my review score for Village, Resident Evil 8 gets an 8.5. And I can't give it a 9. 8 feels like a little low for me so far. I think it's a 4 is a 9, or I guess 4 could even be considered a fucking 10 if you want to get crazy with it. I think most people gave it a 10 when it came out. But with time, it probably maybe a 9.5 or a 9. So this would have to be 8.5. So the second tier of Resident Evil games is what I'm putting it in. Like 2, 4, maybe in that top tier. 3 remake might be in the top tier. It's kind of teetering between top tier, second tier for me.
Yeah.
And so that's where I put it, and that's kind of my logic behind the 8.5.
Yeah. I think as a whole, I'd probably give it an 8. I think it's pretty solid. Like I said, I have some cons with it that kind of drops it down to an 8, but that's kind of where I'm pretty comfortable giving it an 8. I think you should keep texting me as you go along. I would love to hear some of your thoughts, especially when we get to the end, because we'll talk when that happens. But I wonder if your score will change or not.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's my tentative score. That's why I put the 0.5. That's an easy out to take away the 0.5. Give me that 0.5 back, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as the other ones go, I'd probably do probably 9.5 for 4, 9.5 for 2, probably an 8.5 for 3. That's kind of where I would go with those.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to get back in it because I really want to see what the story fleshes out to be. I'd like, because there's like umbrella symbols places, and I was like, I want to tie Umbrella into this somehow. I want to see Umbrella's been kind of out of the loop for a while in the games, so I don't know what they're doing. Umbrella made a new lichen virus. Oh no!
No, there's cool. I would say. I don't know if you're reading anything. What's great about Resident Evil is they don't fuck around with their time when it comes to documents because they're like a page long and they're like kind of split up in small little paragraphs. But I would say read as much as you can because especially towards the end.
Yeah, I'm always looking for those documents. Especially
towards the end, there is an Umbrella connection, and I think it's actually kind of cool and very subtle. And I think you'll like it.
Right on. All right, man. That's all we got for you. Check it out. Available on almost everything, man. It's coming to your smart TV, smart fridge soon. So, yeah, Resident Evil an 8 and an 8.5. Glowing review. We both like it a lot. Those are some pretty good scores. Go check it out. Definitely a fun one. Resident Evil does it again. They're on a roll, man. 2, 3, now this. I can't wait to see what they do next. I hope they do some more of these. It seemed like for a minute there they were doing all this remake stuff. I hope they keep doing some of that.
Yeah,
because I would like to see a remake of like Code Veronica in that style. Because I never played that, and it just sucks with the tank controls. I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah,
and then maybe like just do a full remake of 1, because the remake they did of 1 was the tank control kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like do a 1 remake in the style of 2 remake, dude.
That would be fucking sick, dude. Yeah.
Even though 1 remake was awesome and a good game, I'd like to play it again in this new version, man. And I think that would look fucking sick as shit. People would buy it.
Yeah, I would buy it. Like running around that mansion again, a third person over the shoulder. Fucking sign me up. But
and then
to your point, Resident Evil 4 remake is confirmed. Should be coming out pretty soon. Either next year, the year before, or a year after.
I don't know. It sounds like they're gonna fuck with it though. It doesn't sound like it sounds like they're kind of changing stuff. So hopefully they don't go crazy and make it too wacky or alter it too much, because that is just a classic. You got to walk the fine line. But I don't know. They did too justice. Yeah. But I feel like there's already a HD version of 4 that looks pretty good. But I guess if you just pumped up the graphics to fucking 11, this 4 could be fun. I'll do it again. Shit, I bought 4 probably. It's one of the games I bought the most in my life, like Skyrim and that kind of shit. But and then do fucking 0 with a over the shoulder remake on the train, dude. You could use a couple more remakes. I could do, man. There's money sitting on the table. I want to be able to play all of the numbered series in the awesome remake form, like over the shoulder.
That'd be cool,
awesome graphics. Like that'd be so dope. So I hope they keep doing that. Obviously, 4 is down the pipe. All right, man. That's all we got for you. It's Mother's Day on the day of recording this. So happy Mother's Day to all you liking moms. Kiss your pups for us. And thanks for liking and subscribing. We appreciate it, guys. We enjoy talking with you. We enjoy doing these reviews of movies, films, shows, games. And so, episode 40, Resident Evil Village. Till next time. Oh,
goodbye.
See you then.
Or what is? Do they say something when they die, or is it just the screen? Does that voice ever come back in the death screen? I don't remember.
I don't know what voice you're talking about.
Like the voice when you start the Resident Evil game, Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, it didn't do that in the beginning of this. I was disappointed.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
It didn't even say Village. Didn't say nothing. I was like, dude, don't take that away.
Yeah.
Didn't they do that in the remakes too? 2 and 3.
I think so. Yeah.
Resident Evil 3.
2. Yeah.
Yeah. If they don't do it in 4. That was the first one to do it. If they don't do it in a remake of 4, I'm turning it off. Just right at the start screen. Like, nope.